So today I'll be reviewing this TELESIN rechargeable shorty tripod with remote control. It's for the 9, 10, 11, 12, and Max Heroes. I'm using it with my GoPro Hero 9, and there's not much in the box, but it's a manual here that actually is a real live manual that actually has words and sentences that you can understand that actually tell you exactly what to do, how to pair it, how to charge it, so how to switch the different modes. So it's really, that's a big plus these days, a useful manual. It also comes with the shorty USB-C cable that you can use to charge this, or you're probably going to want to use a longer cable to charge this to whatever power source you want to charge this with. This is really just to attach this to your GoPro to keep it charged from the battery in here. It also comes with the little wing nut for attaching your GoPro to the mini tripod. Now the tripod's already fully assembled. Everything is held together just by tension. There's no buttons to press to extend anything. The feet, the legs, you just open them up. They're rubber on the bottom, which is nice because that way when you stand it up, it has a nice solid base. If you're putting on an uneven surface, there's no way to extend anything, but that's okay. To close it, you just close it. Like I said, no buttons. Same with the extension on the top. It just simply comes out and presses back, and anywhere in between that you want to do it, it'll go and it'll stay at whatever spot you tell it to, and it'll hold the GoPro really easily at whatever distance you want. On the one side is the charging port where you can charge the battery in here, and where you can run this little mini cable from here to the charging port on the GoPro. To get this remote control off, they have this little cover that tells you just push this forward and it pops right up and comes right off. And then you just have the little remote controller that has this cover on it. Just peel it off and you can see it. You can control all the features of the GoPro once you use Bluetooth to pair with your GoPro. You can use all the features. That way you can set up the tripod, walk away, take videos of yourself or whatever just from using the remote control in your hand. Turn it on, turn it off. So that's a really useful feature. Also, if like you got it extended and you're holding it out over your head to shoot down on something, you can just use the remote control to turn it on and off and different features so that you're not having to bring it down and up to do different things. So that's really nice. One thing to keep in mind as far as how this works with its charging is the charging port is on this side. On the 9 at least, the charging port is right here. So you just want to make sure that when you mount them on the same side of each other so that you're getting the cable to easily go between the two. If you do it the other way, it would probably still reach, but it makes more sense to go this way. Also, you see, to get this charging port, you have to open this door. That's the battery compartment door. You probably don't want to do that. So what you're going to have to do is go get or order one of these battery doors that have a little charging port hole right here. It makes the GoPros not waterproof anymore when you do that, but it's the only way that you can put one of these in without opening the battery door. So what you would have is like a little hole right here, so that when you close this, everything looks exactly the same, so there's a little hole right here, and you would just stick this into that hole, and then you would stick the other end into the tripod. But like I said, that means that the GoPro is no longer waterproof at that point, which if you're using all this, you're probably not somewhere where you're underwater or anything, but just keep that in mind. And then these things are relatively easy to swap out. You just go back and forth if you need to. I have one with the port, but I've been using this around the water, in the water, so I've got my waterproof one back on. So I am going to go use this for about a week, see how it works, see how it holds a charge, how long it takes to charge, and then I will be back in the future to conclude this review. Okay, I've had this for several days using it, and there's some good and bad things about it. Some things I like, some things I don't. The tripod part of it is nice and stable, works really well. The extension part is really nice too. You can do it even on the tripod part, or you can just use it as a high camera extension or a selfie. The battery part of this works really well. It'll keep this thing charged depending on how much you are turning it on and off. They say 6 continuous hours of video shooting. I believe that. I've had it longer than that, but I'm not continually shooting, but I've had it on and off, walking around shooting videos, shooting just pictures. So depending upon which hero you've got and which mode you're using, you can definitely go 6 without having to recharge this or change out the battery there. So all that's really nice. Make sure you keep it plugged in to the bigger side. If you try to do it the other way, that really puts too much tension on. That's what I've found. It's really tight fit. So unless you get a different cable, I would suggest keeping it to this side. You see the door that I talked about earlier that allows you to put this through. You're going to have to get, and remember that makes this not waterproof at that point, but these are easy to get on and off. You just take it, pull it all the way to its top right here, and just pull up a little bit and out, and it's going to pop it right off. And then same thing back on, just put it kind of where it would be in the up position, see, and just press and it'll snap on and you're done. So easy to do. So I like all that. The battery part is really nice. What I don't like is this remote. The problem with the remote is it's not intuitive and it doesn't control a lot of functions. Right now the remote is off. There's no lights on and on. If I hold, now once it's paired, I've already paired it of course on this one, but once it's paired with Bluetooth, and the manual tells you how to do that, you just hold the power button and it'll come on. It'll start flashing blue, which means it's going into Bluetooth seek mode, and it's seeking the GoPro Hero 9, which I'm using. Turns it on. Okay, everything's good to go. I can use this mode button to switch through the 3 different modes: photo, video, time-lapse, or I can hit the button for it to either take a picture or start recording. If it's recording, I can just hit it again and it'll turn the recording off. And that is pretty much the only functions that this does in its current state. It'll turn it on, it won't turn it off, and it'll allow you to turn on and off the recording or the photo button mode. But what you can do is you can hold this for 5 seconds, the mode button, and it's not going to do anything, but hold it for 5 seconds at least, let it go, and this will power off. Now it's in what they call quick record mode. So what is supposed to happen now is this is in standby. This is still on. If I hit this record button and let it go, it should power on, and then it should just stay in the power on mode. But as you can see, it didn't do it because these buttons are not 100% reliable, I've found. Sometimes they work. Most of the time they work, but occasionally they just don't work. So if I hit it, let it go, still didn't come on, but then at some point it'll come on. So not 100% reliable. Now it says quick record mode, so you would think that like the GoPro's quick record mode, it would turn on, See, now it's starting to record. It's just so much undependability and lag in this mode. So if I hit this to turn it off now, it's supposed to turn it off, stop the recording, and turn off the GoPro is what it's supposed to do. Or at least put it back in standby mode. But it doesn't do that. So I hit record, starts recording again. Hit the record button again. It should stop the recording, and what this mode is supposed to do is stop the recording and turn a GoPro off. And this time, you see it did, but it doesn't always do it. As you can see, it does sometimes, sometimes it doesn't. You can't really depend upon it to do what it's supposed to do. So to get it out of that mode, you have to hold this mode button, because right now it's in that mode until you take it out. So every time I hit the record button, it's going to turn on. And it might be a mode you want to be in all the time. I don't know. So it comes on. Now it should go into recording already, but it doesn't. You have to hit the button again and it'll start recording. Then when you want to stop recording, you hit the button again. It should stop recording and go into standby mode again. And it does that time. To get it out of this mode so that you can not have it going off every time it stops recording, you got to hold the mode button again to take it out of this quick record mode. And it's like more than 5 seconds, and you let it go. And then you'll know it's coming out of it because it'll start seeking now with the Bluetooth to go back into regular mode. So now it's back in regular mode. You can hit the button and record. You can hit the button to turn it off, record. But this time the GoPro should stay on, and it does. Now you cannot turn the GoPro off with this in its normal mode. This does not. This just turns the remote on and off, which is important because if I go try to turn my GoPro off by the button on the GoPro, it's powering off, but now this remote is lost connection and it turns the GoPro back on to reset the connection again. So the only way to turn your GoPro off is to hold the power button on this remote. The remote will start flashing and the remote will turn off. Now the remote, you see no lights, is off. Now I can turn the power off on my GoPro and it will stay off. The functionality of this is just not intuitive to me. You might find it intuitive. I don't. So I'm going to turn it back on again. And it should bring this back up. What I'm probably end up doing if I want a remote, depending on what I'm doing, if it's something I'm really trying to do right, I'll bring my other remotes which have better functionality or more intuitive, and I'll just keep this inside of here as a backup. But it kind of sucks that this remote it's not very good. It'll do the base functionality, and if that's all you need, great. It'll more or less turn it on and off, but it's just not intuitive, and it's kind of clunky the way it works. But you could waste a lot of time doing some things, like if I went to say, I'm going to turn this off, I hit it, turn it off, and the remote's going to say, nope, you can't turn it off. I want it back on. And it's going to find it, and it's going to turn it back on. Remember, you have to turn the remote off. Then you can turn the GoPro off. So that part of it I don't like. Overall, I like it. I wish this remote was a little bit more useful and intuitive and dependable. And also, these buttons are hard to push the way they are. You really got to put some effort behind these buttons to push them down, especially if you're holding them for like the more than 5 seconds that are required for some modes. After a while, I'm not kidding you, my part of my fingers start aching a little bit from just continually pressing to get these things to function. So overall, I like this tripod, the Shorty tripod. I don't like the remote. I'll use it in its really bass mode to turn it on and off recording once I kind of get used to how it functions. But it's kind of disappointing in the remote part. But overall, if you understand the limitations and kind of how it works, especially this remote, this is a pretty good deal to get all that extra battery power, and also at the same time have a nice tripod, a nice selfie stick or extension, and kind of have a real basic remote. So it's not all bad, but I just think the remote is a little bit of a letdown. So I'll still use it. I still like it. I just think the remote could have been a little bit better. And other than that, I like it.
Lisa.